My Hero Academia chapter 267. Tokoyami is seeing fire come out of the top, or like the attic portion of the mansion. He spots that. He's like, oh, fire. You know, cue back to when we saw the flashback at the beginning of this chapter with Hawks telling him about fire being his weakness. He's putting two and two together. Oh, maybe that's where Hawks is. Let me go check it out. And that's why Tokoyami comes at the end of the chapter to come rescue Hawks, and we'll get into that. But now let's get into Hawks and Dabi. A lot of interesting things going on here. So first of all, pretty much confirming that Twice is in fact dead. Rest in peace, Twice. I mean, we did the whole F thing and the condolences and the goodbyes in the previous review and the previous chapter when we read it. This is just confirming it, which, like I said before, I'm on board with this. I respect Horikoshi's decision doing this, and taking it in this direction with this type of death is a great way to move the story forward. And also give us some emotional impact just on the readers, but also on the characters, because as we're seeing here, Hawks is calling out Dabi for like not really caring about Twice's death. So this is interesting how Dabi is responding to this, because we've seen Dabi's, like, I don't know, moral ambiguity, you could say, throughout the series. Like when he was remembering that he took out Snatch, you know, the Sand Logia hero back in the Chisaki arc, he kind of like had blood coming down his eyes. And we were like, okay, is that him crying? You know, what's going on here? Does he care? Does he not care? Like, what's going on with him? Obviously, a lot of emotions coming out of Dabi here. He's a very conflicted character with an obviously super tragic past, which we'll get into. But also the blood coming out of his eyes when he was reminiscing about Snatch. Cleared up here. His tear glands are burnt. Go figure, because, you know, to see that the area under his eyes is all burnt up. Also goes back into, you know, what Endeavor's mask looks like when, you know, he uses the fire on his face. That's kind of interesting, right? I mean, we already talked about that in the Dabi and Endeavor and Toya video that I made, and everybody else made probably anyway. They pointed that out too. But let's continue. So, Dabi, does he care about Twice being dead? Like I said, it's weird, open-ended. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, maybe it's somewhere in between. Because he's also like, you know, you've got a mouth on you. Your words hurt. And then he goes into the tear glands thing. And it's like, with Twice around, my dream certainly could be seen through. Of course, I'm sad about it. So maybe Dabi is just sad that Twice died because he's no longer able to help him with his end goal. Then we come to the big moment of this chapter. And Hawks is like, hey, I've been looking into the information and the background information of all of the members on the League of Villains, and the only two people that I wasn't able to find info on was you and Shigaraki. Go figure, because we already know the backstory on Shigaraki, and we can understand why his information would be missing from the database that he was able to access. Dabi, on the other hand, we've already known this for years now. This is one of the deepest, most long recurring theories in the fandom. So he straight up tells Hawks who he is, but the text bubble is blacked out. This is like such a G move from Horikoshi here. He's kind of like slapping us in the face. Not hard. He's just kind of playfully slapping the audience in the face. It's like, I know you guys know, but I'm just going to tease you a little more. I'm just going to string you along just a little bit longer. Don't worry. The reveal's coming, but you're not going to get it yet. But I'm just going to dangle it right in front of your face, but not actually show you it. So clearly, he is saying that he is Toya Todoroki in this sequence here. It's like shocked by it, of course, because naturally, why wouldn't he be? He would put two to two together. Obviously, he probably knows Endeavor's backstory. He knows Endeavor's family. I mean, he's an Endeavor stan. He has access to the database. I'm sure he's aware of who Toya Todoroki was. Just going to take a guess. We can just do the lifting for the writing here. I think that's fair to assume. And then we get a flashback of as a kid. Now, we've seen a glimpse of this before, you know, Hawks as a kid. And we've gotten a glimpse of him, like, holding the Endeavor toy. You know, we saw that he was a fan of him since he was a little kid. But now we're getting more insight into this flashback here. So we're finding out that since he was a little kid, he was pulled into this special program. We can assume that this is like the hero committee, you know, coming to him as a kid. And it's like, the training will likely be grueling. Will you manage? And he's like, yeah, so I could be like this person holding up the Endeavor doll. You know, a hero that beats up bad guys. So what I'm thinking is the correlation here. And I'm sure, you know, a few of you others, a few of you other readers have been able to connect the dots here. But I think that Hawks and Dabi have an extremely similar backstory here. meaning that it's possible that Dabi was also a part of this special program to become a hero since you're like a little kid, you know, like something like that, because it also goes into like, why does Dabi know Hawks' real name? And we assumed like, okay, maybe they went to the same school or something, but maybe instead of that, maybe it was because of this. Maybe because, I don't know, Dabi somehow knew about the other kids in this program or something. Or maybe we're going to see another part of this flashback where they meet up, because maybe it's not just Hawks in this little student program thing. Maybe there's other kids there, and maybe they put them together in this room, and maybe Toya, you know, young Dabi is there, possibly. And maybe they met when they were little kids, but of course Hawks didn't realize it was Dabi at that time. Because it's possible that, like, I don't know, Endeavor put him into this program or something. Because, and also, you know, we're going to clear up the other thing, is that it was assumed that Endeavor was training Toya, you know, training him to become like the successor to overcome All Might in the future. He was pretty, you know, he was satisfied with his quirk at first, or at least it was implied. He was like, he was almost perfect when he's talking about him in the Pro Hero arc in the flashback. He's like, he was almost perfect, talking about his cremation quirk. It was super powerful, but he had Ray's weak inclination or weak foundation, or whatever he was saying, meaning that, like, you know how Dabi overheats, because he wasn't able to perpetually use the fire to a great degree the way that Endeavor was. I mean, Endeavor overheats as well, but Dabi obviously overheats faster than him. So maybe, I don't know, Endeavor sent him off to this special program or something once he wasn't able to make him the way that he wanted to. Or maybe, I don't know, once he wanted to move on and try to make Shoto or something like that. But I'm thinking that's where it goes now. And also, you know, it ties their history and their past together, because, you know, Hawks wants to be like Endeavor, and Dabi, Toya, in a way, wanted to be like Endeavor too, because it's his friggin' dad. And they're both in this program together, and now they're both, you know, their paths are ultimately crossing here when they are adults. So that could be the correlation between these two characters here. And then we're coming to, you know, seeing what Dabi's true goal is. And it's that he is the ultimate manifestation of Stain's will. Something that we haven't been talking about or hearing about for a while. You know, we forget that a lot of the League of Villain members, you know, Spinner, Toga, Dabi, they only joined the League of Villains to, you know, basically to continue Stain's will, which was basically like, you know, most of the heroes are fake, if not all of them. There's only like a few chosen heroes that actually are allowed to have that title and are actually allowed to do that job. You know, the main one being All Might. And then, you know, as Stain goes on, as he went on, he selected, he was like, you know, picking and choosing individual basis, like who was allowed to be a hero. And then we saw that he picked Izuku, of course. But now Dabi is just like, yeah, that's the only reason I'm with the League. I mean, we've seen, you know, Dabi basically let us into that he was always down with this ideology. He also says that there's no such thing as a real hero in this world. So we can assume that Dabi just wants to kill all the heroes. I mean, not even like Izuku, no one is worthy of being a hero. So that's his ultimate goal here. He's kind of like taking Stain's will and then just going even further with it. Because, like, even like I was saying, Stain picked and chose who was a hero, but in Dabi's eyes, he's just going to the next level. No one's a hero. Everyone has to die. So that's pretty interesting. But I've talked about it enough. Let's go on to the Mirko stuff in this chapter. So Mirko is continuing to fight the high-end Nomus. She's failing because she's fighting multiple frigging high-end Nomus. They're all super powerful, and this is way too much for just one individual pro hero, even in the top 5, to be able to take on by themselves. So she's just splitting out of there. She says that they're getting more powerful now because their quote-unquote eyes are opening, and you can kind of see that they've gained pupils now, because before they kind of have like pupilless eyes in the previous chapters, and this is because they just came out of incubation, so they're just getting you know, more acclimated to waking up and being, you know, adjusted and everything. So they're getting more powerful, and they're especially getting more adjusted to Mirko's fighting style. So she like busts out of there, and she's speeding to where the doctor went to take out Shigaraki. And then just before she's able to axe kick his tube, one of the high-end Nomus like shoots one of its like appendage tentacles things and shoots through her leg, and it's gruesome. And it stops her in this, you know, before she's able to land the final blow. And Endeavor, out of nowhere, comes to save the day. He blows away the high-end Nomu, stopping her. and it seems like she's about to make it at the very end of the chapter to hit the tank. So maybe she does make it, or maybe this is Mirko biting the dust as well. But also, I think this is like a good chance for her to unleash Shigaraki preemptively. So maybe Shigaraki comes out and he's at like 75% at this point, or 80% or something. I'm not sure how much further the doctor has been able to bring him along at this point. We see him working on the computer, so maybe he's doing something, but I don't know. I think it's a little too soon for Shigaraki to be, released at this point, because obviously he's going to be way more powerful than everyone else if he does, in fact, have All for One or a synthetic form of it, along with his enhanced body. But we'll see what happens. And then we come to, like I said in the beginning, Tokoyami saving Hawks from Dabi. Now, it's possible that Hawks still might die here. We have to remember that he still did have that recorder with him that we saw, I think, 3 chapters back. So it's possible that Hawks was recording the conversation between him and Dabi, and that he did have the information or the identity of Dabi recorded. So even if Hawks does, die, or maybe he's incapacitated, has to go to the hospital or something, maybe Endeavor or Shoto or somebody like that will still have the information recorded of Dabi saying that he is Toya. I don't know, so much to talk about. Let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments. If you like the review, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.